All right, so let's talk about some budgeting, and not necessarily like writing a budget, but some ways that you can pay attention to your money, save some money, maybe earn a little bit of extra money for prepping. You know, there's with prepping, there's so much that we need to buy that even, you know, $5, $10 here and there can add up. So let's get into some ways that you can kind of pay attention to your money and watch it. Like I always say, watch your pennies and the dollars take care of themselves. And that basically means that little stuff, that $5 you spend every day on lunch, or that $1.50 you spend on a pop at the gas station, over 30 days, that adds up. Yeah. And that little stuff every day can be $100. An extra trip to the grocery store because you didn't get what you didn't plan out your trip right. You know, that's a gallon of gas, $2-3 here and there. Stuff like that really adds up. So paying attention to your money is one of the big things, I think. And I'm kind of OCD about the bank account because I will check every day. And that's something that you can kind of, you know, you get your paycheck and everything, right? And then you're cool, you're good to go. And then all of a sudden you check 2 weeks later and you're like, in the beginning you were like, okay, I've got all this money, I can do this, this, this. And then all of a sudden you check 2 weeks later and you don't have the money to pay your electricity because your electric bill, because you're like, where did all that money go? So paying attention every day is key, I think, because
it's your money, you know.
Yeah.
So I think you owe it to yourself to know where your money is going and keep track of it. And if that means writing down in a book for 2 weeks, every day, write down what you spend, even if it's something frivolous, it doesn't matter. And then go back, even do it for a week and see where all of your money went. And I think it might be a real eye-opener of how you're spending your money.
Yeah, and how much you could actually save. Another thing kind of along those same lines is credit cards. Get those, it's easier said than done, but get those paid off as soon as you can, because that's money every month. Even if it's $25, if it's $50, some people it's a few $100. Some people it's even more than that. But that's money every month that you bought stuff in the past that maybe you don't even use anymore.
Right. Or you bought something because it was a good deal and it was on sale, but with the interest that you're paying on the credit card, if you don't pay your credit card off every month, then you actually paid more than what you would have got it for on sale.
Yeah. And another thing with credit cards too, as I was talking about with watching your money and everything, with, you know, you can pay attention to your purchases you make. You use your credit card for gas. Maybe you bought dinner one night or something like that. But the interest that they charge you, that, you know, you don't know when that happens unless you're paying attention to it. It just goes on your bill, and then all of a sudden you owe more. So that could be $60 a month. That could be $100 a month. It could be $10 a month. But that's money you didn't know that was getting taken out, and then all of a sudden you look and you're like, you know, what happened? And you're like, oh yeah, interest. So, and if you're paying that every month, if you're paying $50 a month, that's $600 a year that you're paying on stuff that you bought in the past and you had to have it. Sometimes we need to. I mean, sometimes you just need to use a credit card for stuff. But try to get that paid off as quickly as possible, because that will free up money in the short term. That'll free up that $300-$400 a month or $100 a month that you don't have to spend every month.
Well, and I think the big vicious cycle that a lot of us get involved in is that you got to have a credit card. Mm-hmm. And realistically, you don't have to have a credit card. If there's a purchase that you feel that you need to make, well, then you're going to have to save up for it. Yeah. You don't necessarily have to pay for something with credit or even a debit card. There's different systems that you can do as far as when you get your paycheck. You can do an envelope system, and when the money is gone, it's gone. You can pay cash for everything, and it's a little bit more inconvenient, but it's a lot harder to part with a $20 bill or even a $50 bill, or like you have a $100 bill in your wallet that you've had in there for 2 years.
Oh, longer than that, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but because that's physical. I mean, you're like handing that over to someone. So maybe stop using the credit card and the debit card and resort to using cash.
Yeah, keep the money in the bank for your bills, stuff like that you know it's gonna get taken out. But the money don't use your bank account for anything other than that. And then the money that you're gonna use your spending money for that month, take that out and use that. And once that's gone, it's gone. And you're right about credit cards. We can justify needing stuff. But in reality, as Americans, we're pretty spoiled. So in reality, we can get by without it. A want and a need are two different things, and we need to decipher that. And that's kind of what I got here is plan and prioritize your purchases, because kind of sit on it, I suppose. So if you don't do that impulse stuff. So if you see something that you really need, you see this great backpack and it's on sale now, and this is what advertisers will do. This is limited time. You can only get it now. And you've got to kind of sit on stuff and say, okay, I really, really want it. I'm terrible about this, but you're like, I really, really want it, but let me wait 24 hours and see how I feel.
Yeah, definitely wait 24 hours. And one thing to put it at a scientific approach as far as spending money and buying stuff, it's actually when you do that, it releases dopamine into your system, which is a feel-good hormone. So when we spend money, because we justify it, we deserve it, we've earned it, whatever, we need it. Actually, it's not a need, it's a want, but it feels good. So we continue to do it. And
when we're depressed or we're angry or stuff like that, it's like, I'm just going to go out and buy this. Or, I want that. I deserve it. And then you sit and talk yourself into it, why you deserve it.
And then you get your little dopamine rush, you push the button, and you get the rush of drugs into your system. So it's a feel good response, and so that's why we do it.
And I've got a bunch of stuff, and you've got a bunch of stuff that for that exact same reason we have it, and it was really cool that day or so or that week, and now it just sits there.
Right.
So along with that too is kind of prioritize, and that's if you see a great deal on that, make a list of what you need to become more prepared, whether that's food, water, supplies, all of that, and then prioritize, what you need first, and then get that before you spend the $50 on something that you saw a great deal on or you thought you needed. But in reality, once you learn a little bit more about prepping and all that, you really didn't need that right now. You could have taken that $40-50 and spent it on some food storage or something else. So prioritize what you need and make that list. And before you make that purchase, make sure and look at your list and say, is this a good choice right now? And again, this is an easier said than done type thing because I'm guilty of it. I think we're all guilty of it, but it really needs to kind of be ingrained like that. So another way is to pay attention to deals and stuff like that at grocery stores, right? Make sure you're using your money the best way you possibly can.
Yeah,
I'm bad because I'll go to the store and I'll just pick stuff.
Right, because you just want to get in and get out.
Yeah.
But if you go into the grocery store with a plan and you stick to that plan, you will actually save money. So, and you don't even have to use coupons. You can use coupons to save even more money, but it might take a couple of times to get used to it, but you buy in the store what the deals are, what you went there for. Don't be tricked into buying something extra. And we've all done
impulse
it.
buys right at the front when you're waiting in line, and they got candy bars and lighters and the as seen on TV stuff.
Yeah, so you don't need all of that stuff. Get what stick to your list and purchase only what you have on your list. And take it a step even further before you go to the grocery store. If you're just planning your meals for the next week or 2 weeks, write it down what the meals are. So have your recipes ready. Check through your pantry, see what you have, and if you need it, then buy it.
Yeah, and you had mentioned on one of the prior podcasts about going to the store and getting your shopping cart and having your list and putting all the stuff that you're buying on your list in the bottom of the cart. And then everything that you kind of impulse bought that wasn't on your list that you bought, put it in the top part.
Yeah.
And then see when you get to the register how much money you just spent on stuff that you had no idea, that you didn't think you needed.
Right.
Now, if it's not on your list and you did need it, maybe put it down at the bottom. But that stuff at the top, especially when you got kids with you. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that.
Yeah.
And just to shut them up, you're like, I get this, but you don't say another word or you're not getting anything else.
Yeah, that's why I like going grocery shopping all by myself. And usually when I'm not tired, and definitely not when you're hungry, because that's when the impulse buys are going to hit. But if you just go shopping and stick to your list, I promise you will save a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And there's other things like eBay, Amazon. If you spend the time to look for the deals, even thrift stores and yard sales. If you can take on your list and figure out on your list, hey, what could I get that doesn't have to be necessarily brand new, that somebody else might think is junk? There's a lot of things as preppers that we use that other people are just like, why do you have that? I mean, we have so many cans of food. People are just like, why do you have so much food? But we know.
That's sad that people would even say that.
Yeah, it's because they have their 2 cabinets with food in it. They have enough food for maybe that week, maybe a couple days. Most people don't even have it for that week.
Yeah, I think the statistics have shown that people typically have about 3 days worth of food in their home, which to me, that's scary.
Yeah. And, supplies and stuff like flashlights and, people will be like, how come you got 14 flashlights? Yeah. How come you got a closet full of toilet paper? Because that's what we do. That we know that something could happen, and why not?
Right. And it's a lot easier if you use the last roll of toilet paper upstairs and then to ask someone to go downstairs, to your supply and grab another thing of toilet paper.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier if something does happen, say the grid's down for a month or so, it's a lot easier than running out of toilet paper and having to rip apart books.
You can't rip apart my books.
Or phone books. Not that anybody has phone books anymore.
Right.
But, newspapers, some people don't even have newspapers. What are you going to do?
Yep.
You're going to run out of spare socks.
Yeah. I'll start saving your old holy socks, and then that's your toilet paper.
Yeah, there you go. But there are a bunch of different ways. You as long as you're making an effort to do it, there are a bunch of different ways to just save money here and there. And over the course of a month, you'll see that you have $50, $100 to spend on this other stuff that you want, because there is a lot of stuff that's involved with prepping. There's just a lot of stuff you need to buy. Bug out bags, supplies, food, water,
books.
Maybe not the water, but the water containers, the purification stuff. Books, yeah, all of that stuff. There's a lot of stuff we can get free. There's a lot of videos we can watch. There's a lot of online information, but some stuff you're just going to have to buy. So if you can watch your money, that'll give you a little bit extra during the month. And over the course of a year, by doing this, you'll end up being more prepared and saving money than you kind of thought you would be. In the beginning, it seems like, what's the point? I'm not going to $50 a month. What's that going to do? But at the end of the year, you look back and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm doing pretty good.
Yep. And then, so let's say that you have your budget, you're doing all of these things, and your budget is just, you barely have enough to get by. So then you need to start looking at things that can generate extra income for you, and that could actually fund your prepping.
Yep. And we'll get into that in the next video.